Yesterday I did a GoPro film, a dash cam, um, traveling from Chesterfield town centre to Sheffield. And I gets into Sheffield, gets down to London Road. I've got Google Maps on, so it's telling me that, the quickest route is from, down London Road onto the ring road and then back home via that way, which is the route I would normally expect it to guide me to. But I'm noticing as I'm on London Road, as I've got onto London Road, that the traffic's getting more and more congested. Um, to the point where by the time I'm about two-thirds of the way down London Road, it's um, it's not moving. It's barely moving. And I'm looking at Google Maps and the line, the road is blue. So, which would suggest that traffic's moving fairly easily. So then I heard all this commotion and I could see these flags, Palestine flags. So there was a bunch of, it was because it was a Saturday. So, popular time for a weekend shindig, weekend march. There were basically a load of Free Palestine protesters at the bottom, on London Road, just off junction of, for anyone who knows Sheffield, the junction of Boston Street and Cemetery Road. But traffic, because they were very, very slowly moving down London Road, it meant that traffic couldn't turn right into Boston Street or left into Cemetery Road at that point. As soon as I got a chance, I went straight down on the inner lane and then turned left onto Cemetery Road and got home that way. Um, so yeah, basically causing a load of disruption. And why? So let's just think outside the box here, right? Okay. Basically, what they're doing, it's very much an instinctual thing, and it's probably as a result of first world boredom, and also wanting to, you know, insert themselves into someone else's issue, someone else's conflict, because there's nothing like that going on in this country at the moment. But why is it, what is it they're hoping to achieve? Okay. So, yeah, you can argue, well, they feel strongly about this. They want to make a point. They want to draw attention to the situation. So, what is the situation? Well, supposedly, it's about not supplying arms to Israel, about, governments like the US and the UK. Well, the extent to which the UK is supplying arms to Israel hasn't been addressed to my satisfaction. It seems very vague as to whether that's just a belief held amongst these people or whether there's actually any truth in that. I mean, feel free to correct me or educate me. Um, but even if they are, what is a protest that's stopping traffic on a city in a near to close to a city centre on Saturday afternoon? What is that achieving? How is that going to stop Benjamin Netanyahu bombing Palestine or Gaza? And even if our government is supplying arms to Israel, is someone going to get on the phone and say, "Oh, Prime Minister, we've just had about 40, 50 people at the bottom of London Road in Sheffield protesting. Oh, right, God. Um, well, we better stop supplying all arms to Israel." I mean, they're not campaigning outside number 10, or the Houses of Parliament. So what are they hoping to achieve? Okay. What they are achieving is they're annoying other road users. Okay. So why is this? Well, I think whether it's conscious or not, it's intentional because if you look at, for example, the Stop Oil protesters, they knew exactly what they were doing. But they were that stupid that they didn't realise that not only was it not winning anyone to their cause, it was actually making people hate them. And if you hate someone, you're not going to get won over to their cause. So they were sitting down in the middle of the road and stopping traffic, supposedly to draw attention to the fact that, we need to stop importing oil and using oil, for environmental reasons. Was it that, or was it just to piss car users off? I think it was to piss car users off, to be perfectly honest, because a lot of these people are probably anti-capitalists as well. So they don't like road users, but they also don't like capitalists either. And as far as they see, capitalists own private vehicles. And it's the same with the pro-Palestine supporters because they are on the left wing. They are part of the left. So it's all a conglomerate. You've got the pro-Islam, pro-Palestine, Free Palestine movement, green issues, hence why there's an overlap between the Greens and Labour. So they don't like capitalists. And who owns cars, who owns private vehicles, who owns private property, if it isn't capitalists. So, at least it tends to be that way. So what they do is they're stopping private car users from being able to get past, but they're also stopping buses. There were a few buses in that line of traffic as well. People who can't afford cars, people who choose not to have cars, or can't drive, or maybe elderly or disabled. But no, they don't care because the thing is, as far as people on that side of the spectrum are concerned, they consider that what they believe is right and it should be forced down people's throats, a bit like a totalitarian state, which is why in history, whether it's China, North Korea, Russia, you have these totalitarian states that, funnily enough, are all communist. So this is it. Now, people on the right, they'll think objectively and they'll understand the equity and the reasonableness and the sensibleness and what's fair being represented by democracy. Democracy rules, but that's not what people on the left think. So it's like, I believe in this. I'm going to ram it down your throat, and somehow that's going to win you over to my cause. So there's nothing. Benjamin Netanyahu is not going to stop doing what he's doing to the people of Palestine just because you and your mates fancy a day out where you can get on board with a cause and feel like you're right on and you're involved in a fight because there's no fights going on in this country. Well, why don't you start protesting about domestic affairs like the state of the roads or the fact that people can't get dental appointments or there's no working public toilets in this city because they've all been shut down. Um, and yet we're paying like massive sums in council tax every year. Oh no, let's just spend all our time actually pretending like we're part of some kind of like international movement. You know, these people just piss me off. And what they're doing is they're annoying other people as well and ramming their political ideologies down people's throats. You're not winning anyone to your cause. And personally, I'm sick and tired of hearing about Palestine. Sick and tired. Why don't you start paying attention and caring what's going on in your own country, right? Before you start trying to be cool and getting involved in conflicts that got nothing to do with you, right? Just grow up.